another little minor note here. If you notice that I count 12 shadow tiles and then compare that to the 12 that come in Battle for the Underdark, I bought a used copy of Battle for the Underdark that had 12 shadow tiles in it, plus the shadow tiles for the rock outcrops. I didn't know it came with 8 normal shadow tiles, then enough for the outcrops themselves. So that's a mistake that I made, so whoops. It's the proper amount of shadow tiles, which is 8 if you're not counting the outcrops. There is no story arc attached to this release. It is just a standalone terrain expansion. Going to be opening up and showing the contents and breaking down the shadow rules for the Caverns of Valhalla. Can spend a little more time on this terrain expansion because this is it for February 2026, Renegade Game Studios' new Heroscape releases. Last Renegade Con, they revealed that Caverns of Valhalla, the Decker the Burrowbreaker painting set, and the premium wound markers were safe to bundle. Well, that turned out not to be great, because if you ordered Caverns of Valhalla, no matter how many you ordered, if you supplemented that with a premium wound marker, you're now going to have to wait for those to arrive because those were delayed and they ship out orders as the latest item in that order is available. So, we're just going to take a look at this box. I'll do some comparisons with old terrain and stuff. There's not too much exciting here, or perhaps if you don't have dungeon terrain and it is new to you, it is exciting. So it's a little bit of a box. Let's take a look. First, get my stack of old stuff ready so you can see the comparison. So, dungeon terrain was first available in the master set Battle for the Underdark, and that was when Wizards of the Coast had taken over the Heroscape IP and switched it to Dungeons & Dragons. You got dungeon terrain and shadow terrain, and you got some line of sight blockers that are like rock outcrops. And this terrain box was modified before it was shipped out to match the amount of shadow tiles that came in the Battle for the Underdark Master Set. There are some slight differences in what terrain came with which. This had rock and sand and some grass and water. This Caverns of Valhalla does not. However, how the dungeon tiles break down are there are 2 24-hex dungeon tiles in each one. There are 3 7-hex dungeon tiles in this, 5 in the Caverns of Valhalla. Considering the 3 and 2 composition of hex pieces, there are 2 of each of those in both these boxes. This one has 2 single hex dungeon tiles. This one has 7 single hex dungeon tiles. So you get more dungeon terrain, and this one has 12 shadow tiles. This originally had 10, but it was modified to have 12, so it had the same amount of shadow. Then, as I said, there's rock, sand, grass in this one, and water. There is none in the Caverns of Valhalla. However, rock outcrop pieces, there are 4 total. 1 3 and 3 1s. Same as in the Battle for the Underdark. The only thing is that this one's 3 hex is going to be like this, and the 3 hex in this one is going to be Renegade's new weird way of having single hexes. I mean, I get it for people that don't want outcrops. It's just an extra tile, and you're not forced to make a bundle of 3. But yeah. Anyway, then there's also the setup guide. We'll see if the shadow rules are actually in this box, because there were some missing rules early on in some of the other terrain boxes. And also really hard to find rules, like Wellspring Water being at the end of a scenario, if I remember. I don't know. So your extra shadow tiles in this box are going to be in a little Ziploc bag that is down with the 24s and the rule insert. And you have your insert, which I'll go over the rules. If you're unfamiliar with shadow, it's going to be new information, otherwise probably not. First, here is an old 24 hex linked to the new, well, not really linked, just kind of sitting there. Now they're linked to the new 24 hex. There is a color comparison for you. I mean, looking at the hex tops, you can kind of tell a difference, but color-wise, mine seem pretty spot on. And we have the 7-hexer, and this is going to be the new, this is going to be the old. Again, relatively close. This one's a little bit lighter, but again, that could just be due to plastic age or how it was stored or just exposure to light and stuff. It's pretty close. We've got new 3-hex on the left, old on the right. We got the 2 hexes, again, new on the left, old on the right. And when it comes to the single hexes, you can see the older one has lighter scarring on the top. The new one has a little bit deeper looking. And just like everything else, new, old. Rock outcrops, new, old. And here's why I don't like the new way of doing the triples. I mean, it's fine, you figure it out, but it's going to take some finagling every once in a while. Ooh. And we have the new triple outcrop on the left, the old on the right. I prefer this one visually because looking at it, this one looks kind of like it's a cap that was made off of something sitting on this one. Can't quite describe what I mean here. It's like fuzzier. I don't know. It looks out of focus in person or something like that. I don't know. It's fine. I mean, I like this, the darker composition of colors, and the way this one is better than the one on the left. And now we'll close the video out with explaining what shadow tiles do. Well, they are a height 0 terrain piece, so they don't change the height of the terrain that it is next to or on, and defending on shadow tiles. When a small, medium, or large figure is on at least one shadow space, that figure increases its defense value by 1. And that was a look inside the terrain expansion for Heroscape, Caverns of Valhalla, and it came out 2/16/26. That's the street date. Today's 2/17/26, so I got mine late. This is the first order that I've gotten late. Most of them have come about a month earlier than the street date, so, I mean, you get used to getting stuff early. I'm not mad about it. I'm happy to have more Heroscape. I'm just sad that I have to wait for more figures and other things. And here is the look of the background insert inside the box. I believe they refer to this area as Mirkheim or Merkheim. I don't know. That's their underground, their Underdark with mysterious light.